Well, Cory,
Well, Jay.
here we are,
Yes.
back again. I have an unopened margarita right here that I got from a Mexican food place down the street. It's a big-ass bottle of strong margarita. So I'm thinking by the end of this show,
You should be naked.
I should be nice and messed up. So let's...
You know what? I can't do another show with one person drunk and I'm not drunk. I don't want to do another you're drunk, I'm sober. Oh, okay, just go ahead and drink it then. Jesus. I don't even know why I try. When you start
I
when you
won't
start getting
be
drunk,
drunk until like the very end of the show.
I had I know you've got a list of topics that you said you wanted to get to, but I had a brain fart last night, and
Yeah.
I think it's something that's right up your alley.
Okay.
You know how we are. You know how we're always. We were discussing AMC theaters and how they're crashing and burning, and Arizona is not allowing theaters to be open right now, along with a couple of other things.
Yeah.
Do you not think that with everything that's going on, and so many people going to streaming, and almost every network now has a streaming platform, and even the studios are allowing their new releases to go right to streaming, that a lot of people are projecting or forecasting that this may be the death of big box theater? Okay, so just follow me in that thought process, that this may be the death of big box theater. You and I agree that theater will never go away 100%. It'll always be around and probably just go to like boutiques. So the brain fart that I had last night with some friends, we came up with the idea, and I wanted to present this to you, about AMC taking what little money that they have now and investing in a medium that is so far away from the streaming platform that hits a whole nother market, but yet touches a little bit of the streaming market. And that is bringing back the good old drive-through, the drive-in movie theater. If AMC took a little bit of what money that they have now and invested in elevating the technologies, accessibilities, usabilities, and comfort levels of the American drive-in, they could revolutionize that industry. Imagine what they could do because dude, drive-ins today are still working on 40-year-old technology and 40-year-old business models. If AMC or Harkins stepped up and invested and took the drive-in to the next level, where you do have some of those same creature comforts that you do when you go to a theater where you have reserved seating, now you'll have reserved parking. Instead of having a sticky floored, nasty concession stand, AMC could actually build where after you drive through the ticket booth, you drive up to an actual drive-up window where you can order your concessions before you continue on to your reserved parking spot. They could also improve by introducing the new technology of HD radio that we have now, where when you go to a drive-in theater, now you're not watching a movie, it actually sounds good. So AMC and Harkins has the money to invest in the technology to utilize that HD radio signal that will enable these elevated car audio systems to benefit from it.
Better yet than an HD radio system. And I think you're wrong, but just to go along with what you're saying, but like even better than an HD radio system, they could create an app. So then you can actually like sync your phone app to have the audio coming through your phone, which can typically connect to your car speakers, so to the movie.
But the way that drive-in movies work now is that you go to a drive-in movie, and on your little
radio,
receipt,
right?
they give you a dial on your radio to tune to. Well, AMC would have the money to put behind, and it always sounds like crap. AMC would have the money to put behind actual HD radio signals. In addition to that, a big company like AMC or Harkins would be able to invest in a better screen. Have you ever seen a drive-in theater during the day? It's nothing but somebody's bed sheet that's been nail tacked to somebody's old fence. So imagine the technology that these companies could put into revitalizing the drive-in theater experience, and that would allow AMC or Harkins to redirect themselves towards a different market that a drive-in moviegoers are streamers, but then yet there is something that is totally 100% different about going to a drive-in theater. I'm talking about parking spaces that are angled properly so that you can see the screen. You know, now when you go to a drive-in theater here in Arizona, it's just a dirt lot that used to have angles, but now that there's been so many years of people driving over them, they've all flattened and settled. There is so much that could be done in revitalizing the drive-in theater. And if AMC or Harkins Theater jumped on that right now, even if this pandemic continues on, they'd still be able to produce revenue, because what better social distancing than having a drive-in theater where everybody is in their cars?
Well, I will tell you what I think of that after the intro.
5, 6, 7, 8.
There it is. There it is. What is up, boyos? This is the Jake and Cory podcast. Thank you for tuning in. I am Jake. That is Cory. What is up, Cory?
Hi, Jake.
Well, at the beginning of the show, we started talking about drive-in theaters. You brought up an interesting proposition there.
A thought process, a brain fart.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a brain fart, but
Yeah, well,
isn't brain fart when you have a bad idea?
yeah, that's true. Or when you forget an idea.
Yeah. So here's my thoughts on the drive-in movie theater. I think it's a novel idea, but also I don't think there's any way to really make that industry come back for multiple reasons. For one, it takes up so much space. Like drive-in theaters, they take up so much space, and because you're in a car, you could really only have so many people there. So, unlike a movie theater where it takes up a lot of space, but you could have a giant theater with 1,000 seats, where like you have a giant, like the same space, you're gonna have maybe 50 people, you know, in cars. I think the other thing is like, I think a lot of people these days are a bit more environmentally conscious, and just keeping your car running isn't so kosher these days. I can't imagine sitting in at a drive-in without my car running in Phoenix, Arizona in the middle of summer. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I like where your head's at, but I don't know if it's a very like worthwhile investment.
Well, I'll look at it from a global standpoint. Number one, cars are getting better and better on emissions.
Sure. Yeah. If everyone's driving Teslas, sure.
And most drive-in theaters these days, well, I can only speak for Arizona, they're typically on the outskirts or near the outskirts of the city. So there's a lot more space. Now, I know it might be hard for, other small places like, when you look back on the East Coast, it may be a little difficult to do that. But then there's other ways that they could take it to the next level, as far as like, okay, you find a building and then you erect an additional parking structure on the top of it. And now you've got a drive-in theater on the top of a building. You know what I mean? I just think that if AMC and Harkins Theater, as big as they are, and as a conglomerate that they are, I think that it may warrant them a saving of their business if they looked at a business model that is 50 years old, that if it just had some technology, some know-how, and revitalization pumped into it, I think it could come back. I really think that the drive-in movie theater experience could return. And the reason why is because everybody is now getting more and more comfortable with streaming. And people aren't. Now, I believe there's going to still be a diehard market for people that want to go to theaters. However, I don't think they're going to see that big market come back when their doors reopen. And they're going to struggle a little bit, especially with the fact that studios are seeing the benefits of releasing their new releases straight to stream. They're still making the same money. So these theaters, I feel, should find a pivot angle. And I think that angle would be drive-in theater revitalization. They could take it to the next level. I don't know. It was just a thought process that I thought I'd share with you.
Yeah, I like the thought process. I just don't know if it'll work. Like I think like AMC is more on death's door than we both realize. I think.
Yeah. I don't want to see them go away, but damn, I would be scrambling right now. You see a almost dead fish in the water, and if you just took that fish out of that water and put it in some fresher water, it would live again. AMC and Harkins maybe
right now is just like desperately trying to hang on until they can open up again. And I think if they can open up again, they could probably recover. But it's getting pushed further and further back.
But even when they do open, Jake, the market has shifted so far to Netflix and all of the streaming. You know, I mean, yeah, it's all speculation, but nevertheless,
we'll see. I'd
be looking at different business models right now.
I have a feeling though that when AMC is able to open back up, they will have a substantial boom, I think. I think like people will be wanting to go to the movie theaters. I think they will sell out theaters, you know, as much as they can. I don't know if they'll open fully back up, but you know, eventually they will. And I think if they can get to that point where they can, because I don't think like the coronavirus is going to be around for decades. There's going to be a point where it ends.
Yeah.
Well, not ends, but like there's going to be a point where it's safe to go outside again. I hope. I mean,
where it's controlled. It's going to go the same way like SARS. It's going to go the same way with bird flu.
Yeah, I think a better example is like the Spanish flu.
The Spanish flu. You know, it will eventually die down, or not die down, but science will be able to control it. And it won't be deadly. I mean, we did it with AIDS. We did it with, you know, many other viral infections that were floating around. So, yeah, I agree with you. It's definitely going to die down.
China.
But that time frame, I don't know. As a business person, I would be looking at redirecting a business model and pivoting right now. And I think that there is a fledgling yet stable market in drive-in theater experience, and during this pandemic, drive-in theaters have seen an uptick in market, and it's an archaic technology that they're using, and it's a shitty experience. And if you had a company that get behind
it that much,
oh, dude, technology would take it to the next level.
Like, what kind of technology, other than the phone app, which I think is a great idea because I had it.
You don't need the phone app when all these newer cars now have HD signals. And HD signals are more controlled as far as how far you can throw them. Everyone has a cell phone. Everyone does have a cell phone, but not every car.
And everyone has Bluetooth.
But not every car has Bluetooth, but it could work both ways.
I think most cars these days have Bluetooth. And if not, you can plug your phone into, like, even if you have a cassette player, there's usually there's an adapter that could go to it. Yeah,
it could be used. It could be used in both ways. It could be done through an app, or it could be done through, and even the app could receive the HD radio.
Who has
signal.
HD radio?
I have HD radio.
Like Sirius?
No. HD radio isn't Sirius. Every radio signal, every major market radio signal that you hear by just turning on your radio right now.
Is that FM radio?
Yeah, is an HD signal. That was done when remember when Cox Cable went all the way to all HD signals?
You don't think that they already use HD signals? I think they probably do.
And it still sounds like crap. I don't think they do, because no one's put any money in drive-ins.
Because HD signals on radio still sound like crap. I mean, like, I remember people were like marketing Sirius XM as like, this is higher fidelity than radio. I had Sirius when I first bought my car because I got like a free 3-month trial of Sirius radio. And dude, it sounded like dog shit. Yeah, Sirius sounds like dog shit.
No,
though,
you're
dude.
confused where you're thinking HD radio is Sirius radio.
No,
It's
I'm not,
not.
because
They're two
HD
different
radio
things.
still sounds like shit, dude. I listen to the radio all the time, and it sounds like shit.
When I get an HD radio signal that comes through my FM broadband in my car, it sounds amazing. And it sounds better in certain parts of the city. So if you're
And
in
Bluetooth is not flawless, but it's better than HD radio.
we're gonna have to agree to disagree on that one. I think that Bluetooth has its challenges, and the fidelity does change. And we're audiophiles, and everyday layman probably doesn't hear a difference, but I do.
It just adds a little bit of compression. That's about it. I mean,
But the control that you have with an HD signal is also something that they don't have right now. Like, you can drive by the Glendale drive-in theaters right now, and if you're just scanning through the radio stations, if you're close enough, you're going to pick up the movie. HD, dude, I think that there's a lot more technology that is not being used right now in the drive-in theater market.
it just seems like a waste of money, because right now, like, drive-in theaters should be booming, all things considered, and they're doing better than they were before, but that's still not great. It's
right,
still
because
not
it's a
making,
horrible experience.
Yeah, because you're in your fucking car, and it's like, I might as well just stay home. I have a nicer TV at home. Like, the big thing is, like, the screens at drive-in theaters.
They're horrible.
Are trash.
They're horrible.
They're trash.
They're your
you've got
grandma's
these, like-
bloomers up there on somebody's old rake.
Yeah, like, and they're in the sun, especially in Phoenix. Like, there's no way to keep those things out of the sun.
And that's where technology can come in. And that's another thing. You're talking about these
The projectors get all messed up and worn, and like,
Earth lovers. Here's the thing for you. Harkin steps in. They put a covering over those screens to protect their quality. And on top of those coverings, boom, solar panels. I'm telling you, I think that it's an untapped market that, Harkins or AMC could get into. But it was just a thought process that I throw out to you. I know you have an agenda today, so I will take my back seat.
well, the reason I'm drinking today is because I want to get deep with you, Cory. I want to talk some social politics, maybe. We never get into social politics. We talk politics. But I wanted to ask you how you feel about cancel culture. What is your opinion on cancel culture?
I can sum it up very easily. Cancel culture is just a fancy word for mob mentality at this point.
Interesting. So, I think cancel culture doesn't exist in the way that we think it does. This may be a hot take. But I think cancel culture is a bunch of bullshit and doesn't fully exist. Can you list me some people who have been canceled, quote unquote canceled?
Not off the top of my head, no.
The only ones I can really think of are like Louis C.K., right? This guy got canceled because he jerked off in front of people. And it's like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's like Bill Cosby. Well, he raped people, so yeah. And then there's like Kevin Spacey, and he was like raping kids, and it's like, well, yeah, maybe.
well, maybe, yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, I can't think of really anyone who's been canceled. One of the ones that comes to mind is Aziz Ansari. He got canceled, quote unquote, right? And he went on a date, basically. He went back to this girl's apartment. This girl said she was uncomfortable because he tried to sleep with her. He got some backlash for a while, but then like people really started to dissect it, and they're like, well, Aziz Ansari sounds like a little bit of a dick, but it doesn't really sound like he did anything wrong. Sounds like he went back to your place that you invited him to and tried to get laid. I mean, like,
what guy
that's
wouldn't?
kind of the man's still working. He didn't get fired from anything. He's still out there doing his thing. Another one that I'm thinking of is oh God, what's his name? James Gunn, right? He directed Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay, Guardians of the Galaxy. And back in the day, he was like an edgier director. So he made these edgy tweets about raping kids that I found very offensive and gross.
Okay.
He ended up getting fired from Suicide Squad, Guardians of the Galaxy. And everyone's like, whoa, he was just making jokes. Well, as soon as that happened, that man got Suicide Squad. He's still working. And he got his job back as the director of Guardians of the Galaxy. That's the thing. It's like these people get quote unquote canceled and are still working and making millions of dollars. I think it's a bunch of bullshit. And I think these right-leaning pundits, I don't know if you've ever heard of the intellectual dark web. I think these people inflate it as a suppression of free speech when it has nothing to do with free speech and everything to do with social acceptance, which has nothing to do with free speech. If you're rude to me, I don't need to interact with you. That has nothing to do with free speech. So
very true.
I'm sorry, I'm on a little bit of a diatribe here.
Yeah,
but,
you are.
You know.
Webster's dictionary defines the act of canceling, also referred to as cancel culture, as the removal of support for public figures in response to an objectionable behavior or opinions. This can include boycotts or refusal to promote their work. Now, one person that I will, now that I've thought about it while you were on your diatribe, one person that I believe is a direct response to cancel culture, Roseanne Barr. Now, I think that what she did was something that, I mean, we don't want to dissect everything, but I think that what she did was just Roseanne being Roseanne and blah, blah, blah. But because there was so much backlash and so many people refusing, even her own co-stars refusing to work with her, that enacted the cancel culture. Now, I believe the phrase cancel culture is just another pop phrase because as I Googled cancel culture, I didn't find one article that is older than a year. So this is something very, very new that we just came up with.
I don't think so. I think this has been around since at least 2016. And I've got a segue into something else that happened in 2016. But we'll get there later. The thing with Roseanne, though, it's true. Roseanne obviously struggles with, mental, stability issues.
Does she?
And she's openly talked about it. She has multiple personality disorder. She was on Ambien when she made that tweet.
Was she?
She was. The thing is like, she did get canceled. Sure, her show got canceled. But if people aren't going to watch the show, I mean, don't have the show. It has nothing to do with government imbalance. It has everything to do with cultural imbalance. And I don't know, like if that's the only one you could think of, like, I don't think Roseanne should really be working in Hollywood anyway. She seems sort of mentally unstable and maybe shouldn't be in the spotlight like that. Like, not everyone has the right to work as a public figure.
True.
Not everyone should be working as a public figure.
There was,
and it's up to the people to decide if you are a public figure.
Here's another one that I kind of just found just in Googling it around. Kevin Hart. Cancel culture.
Right. Kevin Hart got kicked off of the Oscars. Yeah. Right? Because he
from
made
a tweet,
very homophobic tweet about how he would like beat his son or something if he found out he was gay or something. I can't even remember what the tweet was.
Yeah, it was something around that. I can't remember what it was either.
Yeah, it was a fucked up tweet and he shouldn't have made it. And to just be like, well, it was 3 years ago, we should forgive him, is kind of like, well, should we? And then also, like, the man is still a multimillionaire. He's still in Jumanji. He's still doing all those fucking movies with The Rock. He wasn't going to get paid a lot for the Oscars anyway.
True. So's Roseanne.
And they invited him back onto the Oscars when the public outcry was, no, he didn't do anything wrong. He should do the Oscars. So the Oscars were like, okay, you're right. He should be our host. And he said, No, I don't want to be. So that was his decision. Like, this whole cancel culture shit is bullshit. It's these millionaires whining about how they can't say anything while they're saying anything they want.
So what is the I'm not totally connected with what cancel culture is. I think it's just people wanting to boycott people, but they're still, at the end of the day, still going to be millionaires. It's kind of like the same thing when people were concerned about, the NBA games not being played. I'm like, whether those guys are dribbling a ball or not, they're still millionaires. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. So I don't think cancel culture, I think, is just another pop phrase that means nothing. I agree with you. And it's just it's mob mentality where people get together and like, oh, we're going to boycott when it's over. It's over. I'm out here. I'm no support. And then nothing happens. And then that person is still a millionaire. That person is still a celebrity. And then what does the cancel culture group do? They just go on to find something else. I mean, it's
not
useless.
Even mob mentality. It's 5 people on Twitter saying, oh, Roseanne Barr is a bigot. And then she gets quote unquote canceled because she said something offensive. Like, if you're a public figure and you say something offensive, maybe you shouldn't be on the Disney Channel.
Well, it's selective. I will tell you this. It's selective because there are many public figures that have said shit that is offensive and they ass ain't never got cancel cultured.
Agreed. I totally agree.
So it's a selective process if it is anything. And there in that fact makes it useless. Because if the cancel culture doesn't affect, if cancel culture was real, Jake, we'd have a new president.
It's true. I don't know if have you heard of the intellectual dark web?
Never heard of it.
So the intellectual dark web, maybe you've heard of some of these figures before. I want to talk about this because it's something that I dealt with. A lot of people have dealt with, and I'd like to just share my thoughts on it.
Please.
The intellectual dark web includes people like Ben Shapiro. Do you know Ben Shapiro?
Mm-mm.
Dave Rubin. Gavin McInnes. Who else? Sam Harris. These like YouTube political figures. I guess Tucker Carlson is trying to be a intellectual dark web. Jordan Peterson. Have you heard of any of these people before?
No, all over my head.
Okay, well, this will be fun then. Okay, so let's start with Ben Shapiro. And the reason I want to talk about this is because basically what these guys are, and no one wants to say it, and they won't admit it themselves, these guys are funnels to the alt-right. Do you know about the alt-right?
No.
You don't know about the alt-right?
You're swinging.
Cory, do you live under a fucking rock?
You're swinging. I guess I do. I guess I live under a fucking rock. Just call me Patrick Starr.
You don't play video games, you don't watch movies, and you don't know about the alt-right.
I'm sorry I'm not a good person for you, Jake. I apologize. I will do my best to become better for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's all I've ever wanted to hear from you.
Fuckface.
Fuckface? Why are you mad at me?
I'm not
you want
mad.
to fucking...
I'm not mad at you.
I'm going to drive over to your house and cough in your mouth.
I'm sitting... Okay. I'm sitting here listening to you, learning and observing, and you're getting mad at me. I Googled intellectual dark web and my whole laptop shut down.
So basically these guys are a funnel to the alt-right. The alt-right is basically... they're basically white supremacists that don't want to call themselves white supremacists. So they call themselves alt-right, alternative right. Basically, like the heads of the alt-right, the guy who coined the term the alt-right was a guy named oh god, what's his name? Richard Spencer.
Okay.
He's like the head of the KKK at this point. So then there was that guy Milo Yiannopoulos. You remember Milo Yiannopoulos?
I don't.
Oh my god.
I don't.
Cory.
What about what is he? Who is he? Tell me.
This is hard. This is going to be hard to go through. There's so much here. So Ben Shapiro is a fast-witted little piece of shit. All right.
Okay. Okay. All right, Margarita. Uh-huh. You can't.
Most people probably know what this is.
Well, then
So
I will be the one that will be listening, observing, and asking questions. That's how things work. Not everybody is going to know. Everybody's not going to be on the same wavelength. You know how many things that I've brought up to you on this show that you don't have anything to do, and only response I get back
like
from
what,
you,
Corey?
only
What,
response
Corey?
I
I
get
know
back from
everything,
you-
bitch.
Oh my God. Okay, continue with your thing. Continue with your. I'll be over here. I'm sorry, I don't sit around and fester on these things, and I sure as hell don't have any knowledge about anything that is tied to the KKK. I don't.
Well,
I've chosen not to have that in as part of my mindset or my life. And some people would call that, what's the phrase? Naivete? So be it. I will be naive.
well, the reason I think it's important to point these motherfuckers out, is because Ben Shapiro, his whole stance is his whole argument is, quote unquote, facts don't care about your feelings. That's his whole thing. Basically, and he's saying, I'm conservative. This is what I stand for. Basically lightening the load, basically being a perfect entryway. He doesn't explicitly say he's a white supremacist, but if you read between the lines, you can kind of tell that's where he is. And so it's a perfect entry point. Same with this dude. The perfect entry point is a guy named David Rubin. Dave Rubin used to be a part of this channel called The Young Turks. The Young Turks is a very left-leaning, like news show. It's like the opposite of InfoWars. It's like InfoWars but woke, right?
Okay.
They say some very cringy things. I'm not a huge fan of them.
Is it on broadcast TV or is it just online?
Well, it's all online.
Okay.
Everything's online now. So
okay. So they're not
Yeah.
that show isn't tied to like a major network or anything.
So Cenk, the main guy, he used to be on MSNBC for a while, I guess, and yeah, all that shit.
Okay.
So Dave Rubin used to work over there. He ended up splitting off.
Holy
saying-
crap.
Huh.
I'm looking at the wiki page for the intellectual dark web, and you won't believe whose name, and I don't know if you're getting to this, but there's a name on here that I definitely know.
What's that?
Joe Rogan.
Okay, so that's interesting.
Joe Rogan's
ringing.
name, and his name, and it's, I mean, it just may be in alphabetical order, but his name appears right above Dave Rubin and Ben Shapiro.
So, okay.
Uh-oh. You're going
It's hard to break this all down. There's
gonna,
so much to go into.
You're going to get us murdered.
Yes. And fucking, if I get murdered, I would love to die a martyr. God damn it.
They won't martyr you.
No one's going to fucking listen to this. So.
I hear Emmy.
So the reason Joe Rogan is on that list, because Joe Rogan is the most accessible member of the intellectual dark web. Okay, so I wouldn't say Joe Rogan is outright a racist, but he gives these people a platform. He had this guy named Gavin McInnes on his platform. Gavin McInnes was the creator of the Proud Boys. The Proud Boys are known for going to different protests and basically intentionally turning them violent.
Which is something that we've seen happen in most recent history.
Yeah, Gavin McInnes even had to step down as the leader of the Proud Boys because he's like, yeah, this is getting a little out of hand. These guys are basically a terrorist group. Yeah, but the president doesn't talk about them because the president is part of this. He's a big part of this whole thing. The president wouldn't have been elected without this quote unquote intellectual dark web. Now I'm starting to sound like I'm putting on my tin hat here. I also don't know if I'm making sense because so you're gonna need to like ask questions if you're not following.
I'm following you, and you're making sense. You're building a story here. You're making complete sense in the way that you're presenting it.
So yeah, Joe Rogan's a good starting point. Joe Rogan,
that's a
he
name,
has all.
that's a name that jumped out to me, and then the first two names of two other individuals on this wiki page. The first names don't jump out to me, but the last names do.
What's that?
Brett Weinstein, and Eric Weinstein, or however you pronounce it.
So like
that last name jumps out.
These guys are just kind of bozos, but like they're whatever.
They're linked to whoever this guy, according to Barry Weiss. These individuals are associated with the intellectual dark web include, and then there's a list of all these people.
Right.
And I'm going off the wiki page.
The intellectual dark web in and of itself isn't bad. It's just what the intellectual dark web leads you down. It's like the path that it leads you down. If you start getting invested in the intellectual dark web, you will find your way to heinous and nasty shit. These people that are anti-maskers, pro-Trumpers, fucking, we love the police, George Floyd probably deserved it. Like, these guys were all introduced probably from the intellectual dark web. Like, it has so much to do with these guys. These guys' influence is so understated and isn't talked about enough.
So are they utilizing their influence to inject their underlying secret agenda? Is that what's happening? Is that so you've got Joe Rogan and he does a waka waka and he's a notable celebrity and la la la, but then yet if you dig through some of what they're doing and some of what their projects are, there is some hidden agenda, kind of like, you know, the like a secret dark government or things like that. So they're just using these platforms to provide entertainment, but that entertainment has some type of subliminal underlying message to it.
Yes. And as the days go on, the subliminal messaging becomes less and less subliminal and more just in your face.
Because they've garnered the audience. They've garnered their attention with their sleight of hand. So now they can give them the true.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like, Trump has been in office for 4 years now, and like these people are deteriorating on the internet because they've forgotten the thing that brought them to the top is they basically fought with college freshman students and dominated them all the time because they were college freshman students. And then they would use these college freshman students, you know, the kids with the shaved head and the green hair, and say, these are the authoritarian left. The people with the shaved head and green hair, these are the authoritarian left. They're Marxists. They're going to ruin the nation. And they would own them in debates because they're college freshmen who don't know how to fucking debate because they're 18, 19 years old.
Yeah.
And this is why when you see online, you know, don't trust the girl with the green hair. Well, it's like, yeah, everyone in college has green hair. You know, like, these people are stupid as hell, man. So one of these guys, Dave Rubin, who I was talking about a little bit earlier, he used to be part of the Young Turks. And his whole platform was, I used to be a lefty and now I am still a lefty, but you know, they've changed sides. The left, they've changed. I don't know what's wrong with them. And over time, he's just admitted he's, you know, then it turned into, I'm a classical liberal. And then it turned into, okay, I'm just right leaning now. But the thing about Dave Rubin is this guy is actually gay. So they can basically use him as like, we can't be homophobic. Look at Dave Rubin.
Oh, he's dreamy.
Yeah. So basically, he just brings these people on. He doesn't press them on their issues. He just lets them spew their bullshit unless someone of the left comes on the show. If someone from the left comes on the show, he'll push them on their issues. And everyone in the comment section is like, these people are terrible. So then more and more, there's just no more people on the left. It's all right-leaning pundits that come on there. And then he frames it as, I'm used to be left-leaning, so I have a very diverse sense of perspective. When in reality, he doesn't. He doesn't at all.
David Joseph Rubin subscribers 1.3 million years active. He's only been in the public eye since 2012, according to Wikipedia.
Yeah, so this all blew up in 2016 with and if you notice, 2016 is a very important year in our history.
Mm-hmm.
We elected, the first fascist president in a long time, named Donald J. Trump. He should be in prison, not in office. I don't know. I'm getting too political.
Some say after he loses, New York is just waiting at the starting line for the moment that he is no longer president of the United States. New York is going to unleash.
This shit has just been eating at me because...
Well, express yourself.
What's that?
Express yourself. That's what this show is for.
It's just been eating at me because, people buy into this bullshit and no one pushes them back. And, we're supposed to just pretend like everyone who supports these guys are idiots when it's not true. These guys are basically, they're no different than Jim Jones. They're no different than Charles Manson.
Mm.
These guys are selling a cult, and they've been doing it very effectively for the past 4 to 6 years.
When you say that there's no pushback and we're just supposed to, roll over and allow this, I mean, we talked about it a couple of shows ago where stupidity is just, hiding, or corruption is just hiding in plain sight. And I guess with these guys that have gotten so large, it's kind of like the equivalent of the metaphor of, you can't push a boulder over once it's so big because just of its sheer size. So maybe nobody's pushing back on these guys because of the sheer size and the power you would need to push back on this group would have to come from a larger power, and a larger power is probably dominated somewhat by, or intimidated somewhat by this smaller group. So the small people.
And the fun thing is most of these guys, Dave Rubin, Ben Shapiro, they're all funded by the Koch brothers. And the Koch brothers are both very conservative billionaires.
Mm-hmm. I've heard of them.
Who are also in the pocket of Trump. It's just a propaganda machine, and it's fucking racist and fucking horrible. What's his name? Ben Shapiro. He went on Dave Rubin's show, and Dave Rubin said, "So, would you go to my wedding?" Because Ben Shapiro is basically a fucking homophobe. And he's like, "Would you come to my wedding?" Because Dave Rubin is gay. He's like, "Would you go to my wedding?" And he's like, "No, I wouldn't go to your wedding." These guys have been friends for years, and he wouldn't go to his wedding because he's gay. And then he's like, "But would you come to the after party?" And he's like, "I mean, if it wasn't about your wedding, I would go."
How is the after party after a wedding not about the wedding?
Yeah, these are the guys that are you should be able to have signs on your door that says we don't serve gay people because it's against our beliefs. But then they're also we believe in freedom. And it's how the fuck is that freedom? How are you the party of less government, quote unquote, when you are also the party that enforces the most drug laws, the most imprisonment of human lives, the very homophobic anti-gay shit? The institutional racism is because of your party, if they want to accept that or not. This has everything to do with less freedom. Their whole party and system is less freedom, and they run on the lines of more freedom, First Amendment. And this is why I bring up cancel culture, because these people use cancel culture as a talking point. the left is trying to suppress our free speech. And it's like, no, it has nothing to do with politics.
Yeah.
Cancel culture has nothing to do with political politics. It has everything to do with social politics, sure. But like, has nothing to do with legislation, laws, bills, anything. So these motherfuckers are using this. They're using the fact that Louis C.K. got canceled for jerking off in front of people as an argument.
It's literally it's the most elaborate trick of sleight of hand.
They're snake oil salesmen, but they have an agenda.
Yeah, they're going to sell you, they're going to sell you some land on the moon. It's literally a sleight of hand where they're telling you this, but they mean this. And that's literally what a lot of what's going on in and around this country right now is really all about, where it's just a lot of sleight of hand where people are saying one thing and doing another or meaning another. And because we've talked about it before, where we are just so predisposed to react instead of think and research, we just go with the flow. Most people just end up going with the flow. They're like, oh yeah, cancel them, I'm outraged. And while we're focusing on that, we're totally missing what's actually really happening.
Did you watch the new interview with Donald Trump? With Chris Wallace and Donald Trump?
I have been media blackout for 2 weeks. I don't even know what the current count of coronavirus cases in Arizona are. I have disconnected myself in totality for the last 2 weeks. I couldn't tell you. I can't. I was at a point, Jake, where I couldn't take it anymore, man. It was tearing me up inside. It was horrible. I can't tell you what the active cases are. I can't tell you if there's a vaccine. I can't tell you anything that Trump has done. I can't tell you anything that Biden has done. I disconnected, bro, and I did it on purpose. I couldn't take any more of it. I couldn't. It was eating me from the inside out.
Yeah, it's eating me from the inside out too, but I think this is, man, this is the most important time to stay informed. Like, I really think it is, because like, man, if we don't pay attention to what's happening, they'll just take over, man. Like, Trump is basically, he sent in the military into Portland at this point.
Yeah, I've seen some of that, and it literally, I saw the report of the mayor basically getting tear gassed, and how everything that's going on in Portland is actually not even the Portland law enforcement. It's all federal agents that are in there that are throwing people into unmarked cars. And when I saw this, the
point where the Portland governor, I'm pretty sure, or the Oregon governor, was basically saying, we're going to start arresting these military people who keep abducting our citizens.
I mean, they're literally in
even though Trump is sending them there to do that.
Right. They're literally in military garb. And Portland didn't, if I may have my facts wrong, but Portland, I don't even believe, asked for federal support or federal, it literally, when I was looking at it, when I saw it come across Twitter, I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw it, it literally made me think of the Hunger Games. Literally, when these government enforcers came in and completely overtook a city or a district, and the people that were overseeing the district were completely rendered helpless. You know what I mean? And in Portland, it's not even violent protests. Those are mothers. Those are moms standing out there on the front lines of the protesters. So the moms are creating a barrier, from what I've seen, a barrier between the federal agents and the actual protesters. And the moms are keeping the protesters in line, but the federal agents, I don't know. It kind of seems like There's people in there that are sparking up problems, and of course, all the media cameras go right to the flash grenades.
I mean, why would they not? It's it's getting to the point you're sending in a military into my city where I pay taxes. I live here. This is my home.
You're sending the own people's military to attack the people.
Right. This is my home.
That
I
the
pay for that
military is
militia.
supposed to protect. Yeah.
I should be allowed to protest if I want to. I live here. This is my home.
Yeah.
And the president, who lives in fucking Washington, D.C. or New York
or Florida,
is sending a military into his own people's. It's crazy. And then there's people who watch Ben Shapiro. There's people who watch Tucker Carlson on Fox News.
I thought he got fired.
Who's that?
Tucker.
Well, Tucker's interesting because he didn't get fired. His head writer got fired for being racist. Surprise.
Surprise.
Who would have thought
Duh.
that Tucker Carlson's head writer is racist? Oh, Jesus, man. I'm getting heated over here. And I'm doing it to myself.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this all week.
Get it out, man. That's what we're here for.
It's like a counseling session right now. Only
it's therapy. It's therapy. And
digits of people across the internet.
And I'm here to rub your shoulders and say woo woo woo. Woo woo woo.
You're like the robot in Star Wars. Ooh, bah.
It's interesting, man. And when you uncover these types of things and you realize these things that are going on, man, you just learn more and more and more. And the thing is that this isn't the first time something like this has been around. It's just that we are living in the information age, and more of this stuff is wildly known now, where these types of groups have been operated in this country since it was designed.
Well, let me say this about the intellectual dark web, as it's put. And the interesting thing about Joe Rogan on the intellectual dark web, just to bring it back there for a minute, is he does not have Dave Rubin on that show anymore, because he realized Dave Rubin is a fucking rube and is stupid as fuck. He also brought this one stupid woman in named Candace Owens. Have you heard of Candace Owens?
Name sounds familiar.
Her video was going around after George Floyd and about how like he probably deserved it and whatever.
Has Joe Rogan he hasn't had Ben Shapiro on his show, but has Joe Rogan gone on his show and spoke against Ben Shapiro?
He's had Ben Shapiro on. He actually just had Ben Shapiro on. I'm talking about Dave Rubin. Actually.
Oh, has Joe Rogan spoken out against Shapiro?
Rubin.
Rubin, I'm sorry.
He didn't explicitly say his name.
Another sleight of hand.
He referred to an episode that he was on, and he's like, these people are so dumb because of blah, blah, blah. And he brought up the episode that Dave Rubin was on. And he hasn't had him on since. And people are like, hey, Dave, how come you don't go on Joe Rogan's show anymore? And he's like, well, I keep contacting him and he won't have me on. And because Joe Rogan doesn't care. Joe Rogan's just like, I need guests for my podcast. And I want to have like
my 3-hour show.
The thing about Joe Rogan is he does have a lot of left-leaning people on his show as well. I really do think Joe Rogan just has everyone on.
You have to when you have a 3-hour format.
Yeah, and 3 shows a week. Like, I really think he has whoever on. So I don't explicitly blame Joe Rogan, although he has some stupid takes, but he probably also has CTE, so I can't take it too seriously.
What is CTE?
That's like the brain damage disease.
Oh, because he was a fighter.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Look,
yeah.
Another thing Cory's not into: mixed martial arts.
Yeah, I used to be into it when I was a kid. Then I got older and realized fighting is for bozos.
No.
But
I like
just
to see.
kidding. I think it takes a lot of talent to be an MMA fighter.
I like to see fighting clowns, Bozo the Clown in an MMA ring.
Oh, dude, that's why you watch WWE. 'Cause
Oh,
you get Doink the Clown.
I don't even know what WWE is. I knew WWF, and my knowledge stops at Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, WWF, World Wrestling Federation. Then it turned into the World Wrestling Entertainment.
That's how old I am. Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper, and
Macho Man Randy Savage.
Macho Man Randy Savage.
That's Ric Flair, actually.
Oh shit.
Ric Flair went woo.
I'll be over here.
Yeah, man, it's just been eating me up, and like the reason that, you know, people sit in their homes, they watch Ben Shapiro, they watch Dave Rubin, they watch Tucker Carlson, who's basically a confirmed racist at this point. They watch these people, and then they sit at home and they're like, yeah, send the military in to Portland. Get these fucking libs.
They're not doing
leftists.
anything. They're just walking down the street.
I know. It's crazy. And there might be like a couple people who are like causing issues, but like,
that's all the media is going to show us, is the ones that are doing idiocy. They're not going to show the peaceful mothers that are just standing there. I mean, good Lord, how horrible is it to see a mom of someone?
It's really ridiculous, man. I feel helpless. I feel like we can't do anything. So all I can do is just
do something.
Voice my injustices and
well, you can do that as well, because you have a platform to do that. But we can do something, and this is something that
if you say vote, I'm going to punch you in the face.
Well, you're going to have to punch me in the face then, because this is something that I'm definitely going to start championing, is that people need to not only vote, but they need to, well, not need to. I hate to say the word need to, but people should vote, and people should, if they do know someone that's part of the Electoral College, they need to start bending their ears. I mean, that seems to be the only.
It's not going to happen unless these people have money, because we could say whatever we want to these people, but as soon as like McDonald's goes up to them and is like, "Hey, I've got $20 million for you if you push this topic," that's what's going to go through. We make no difference.
Well, yeah, we do.
What we say to our politicians makes no difference. And I'm not saying they're all bad, but most of them.
Yeah, most of them are. And you're right. We don't make a difference when it comes to politicians. But you said McDonald's can walk up to a politician and say, here's $20 million. Well, how about we stop going to McDonald's and we spend our money elsewhere? Then McDonald's won't have that $20 million to go out there. See, what we do. Sure. But the thing is that people are so predisposed in their mind that they don't see that that's how the system actually works and trickles, that we're not smart enough to unite together and say, hey, this isn't something, or the people that believe a certain way,
I don't know,
won't
man.
have it,
We shouldn't blame
man.
the consumers. We should blame the fucking companies that are trash garbage.
Yeah, but the companies are only trash garbage because the consumers are giving them their monies to become trash garbage.
But like when you go to a mom and pop shop, you don't know if mom or pop is beating their kids. You don't know. There's no way to know. You can't blame the consumer.
No, you can't blame the consumer. But once you do learn that mom or pop are beating their kids, then you start to take your money elsewhere. And once people start realizing that. But not everyone
knows. And McDonald's is an example, because I don't know what the fuck McDonald's is doing, because this is all behind closed doors.
Yes, it's all behind closed doors.
So how the fuck are we supposed to pick and choose?
When those things do leak out, then that's when the time we need to react. And then now we just pretty much just explain, in order to cancel the culture, is becoming a cancel culture.
I don't follow that.
We literally just described the cancel culture. We said if we want politicians to stop doing things, we need to stop supporting the companies that are supporting the politicians.
No, because this is not social. This is not social. We don't get to decide this. This is all decided by Elon Musk. This is all decided by the Koch brothers, who I don't even know how they got their billions of dollars, but they have them. Those billions don't just go away.
Most of the billions in this country are from times that aren't so bright in our history.
Just stockholders just make money. There's nothing we can do about that.
Slave owners of slave owners of slave owners of slave owners. It's called old money.
Yeah, exactly.
People have died for these dollars.
You can't blame the consumer. You can't blame this social aspects. This all has to do with our government being shitty and not properly set up for late-term capitalism.
And it's been shitty for a very, very long time. And I don't see it ever being, when it's not shitty anymore, is when another country has come in and place their flag on top of our Capitol.
Fucking good, man.
That's the only time it's going to be when there's, and I've said it before, when there's Chinese tanks rolling down Central Avenue. That's the only time that, you know, I mean, we're just poised for it. We're infighting ourselves. We're so focused on infighting within ourselves that the other countries, they're just sitting there just waiting at the starting line. They're like, okay, we're going to let them fight for a little bit longer. Now they've weakened themselves from the inside out. Pounce.
Yeah, I don't know about all that.
We'll be so consumed about fighting each other we won't even realize that we're losing a war.
Yeah, I don't know about all that, man. I mean, like, China's going through the same shit. You know, everything going on in like Hong Kong before the coronavirus happened.
What country don't you hear about?
What do you mean?
What country is not going through something right now? Like you said, China, and then, you know, who's to say that the English aren't planning? Who's to say Canada's not planning something? Who's to say Mexico's not planning another revolutionary war? Who knows?
Fine, but that has nothing to do with this. So just because there's other countries, I can't be concerned about my own?
No. I'm saying while we are infighting in this country, another country can be very well positioning themselves to take us over when we have weakened ourselves from the inside.
Why? I mean,
why wouldn't? Because a lion isn't going to go after the most healthiest gazelle. It's going to go after the weak one.
Fucking fine, dude. Like, fine. Just, like, let Denmark take us over then. Whatever.
Like, I love wooden shoes.
Fuck, man. I don't give a shit. I mean, like, if China tries to take us over and we're already fighting against a fucking fascist regime, I'm pretty sure we'd be happy to fight against that fascist machine as well.
Maybe that's what we need to bring us all together on one page, is we need to be attacked by a third party instead of fighting each other. Maybe that's what needs to bring us together. I don't know.
Yeah, but then that'll just silence the issues and they'll never get solved.
Yeah, the issues will never get solved, man. And the reason why the issues will never get solved. How?
They've been solved in a lot of other countries. Obviously, there's always going to be bad people. There's always going to be murder. There's always going to be rape.
There's always going to be broken politicians.
There's always going to be Joe Rogan.
He's dreamy, though. He looks good with his shirt off.
Yeah, he's pretty buff.
Not so much now, but back in the day in his old news radio show days.
News radio, yeah.
Yeah, he was dreamy back then.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like,
now he's just stocky and hairy.
There's so many issues that are just inherently American compared to the rest of the quote unquote free world.
And those issues are issues that we brought up on ourselves.
Sure, and it should be put upon us to fix them, and that's what I'm talking about. And then I mentioned fixing them, and apparently we're gonna get invaded by China.
No, you're gonna listen back to this. You're gonna like, oh, that's what he meant.
No, I get what you're saying. You don't want us to have a civil war, but like...
No, I'm saying that we are weakening ourselves, man. We're fighting our own damn selves over shit that we shouldn't necessarily be fighting over stupidity. We've got
like Trump sending in our military.
Yeah, we've got military action that is happening in a United States state right now, and those resources that are focused right now, and it's just not Portland that he's sending them to. He's admitted that he's sending them to other places, but I guess they're just supposed to be there to, you know, plant flowers or whatever, quote unquote.
Anyone changing their football's name.
But we have our military off doing something that they shouldn't be doing.
Right.
Okay, and if that starts now, and we have 4 more years of this bullshit, who's to say it's not going to happen somewhere else? Who's to say that he can't send the military into Arizona and go into everybody's homes, take their kids out, put them in unmarked cars and drive them to schools because he wants the schools open? You know what I mean? Who's to say? So while we're doing all this crazy shenanigans within our own selves, where our own military bullets, American bullets, are killing Americans, other countries are looking at it and saying, give it a little bit more. They're going to be weak. They're going to be ripe for the picking. That's the point that I'm making.
I don't think so, though, man, because we spend like 10 times more than the top 10 countries combined. Like, we have so much military. We have so many people here. What Trump's trying to do is get us all in line. And once he gets us all in line, we're all part of his military. And the ones who aren't go straight to a camp of some kind. I forget the word. Some sort of concentration camp.
Yeah, this sounds familiar. I can't put my finger on it though. Oh well.
Racist leader turned dictator.
For some reason, I feel like I should extend all of my fingers forward and lift my hand in the air.
See Kyle, my brother.
Oh, yes. Kyle makes great microphone stands. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a clusterfuck out there. So real quick though, Trump did a I figured it's been a while since we did a political episode, so that's why I went like full politics today.
I don't think you went full politics. I think you went full nuclear.
Yeah, I did. But Trump did an interview with Chris Wallace on Fox News, and Chris Wallace is like the one left-leaning guy on Fox News, and he actually like pushed Trump, and Trump looked like such a fucking ass. If you want something to brighten your day, dude, go ahead and watch that.
To brighten my day.
It's like an hour-long interview, and Chris Wallace just fucking decks him in the face like over and over and over again.
Did he dick slap him?
To the point where like Trump is like, I need those stats. Can you grab me those stats? And then he like his secretary like brings him a piece of paper and he's like, see, it says it right here. This is the thing. And then he like throws the paper real quick. And then he's like, see, it's all fake news. And it's like, but you're the one doing fake news literally right now by saying fake news.
Did Trump slander him on Twitter after the interview?
I don't know. Probably.
Oh.
And then like there was one point where he's like, Joe Biden is pro defund the police, which is absolutely not true.
That's all of his commercials right now. Those commercials are ridiculously stupid. Where you got the old lady who sees an intruder coming up to her front door, and then she calls 911, and 911 says, we'll leave a message and we'll get back to you in 3 to 5 days. And then it ends with, I'm Donald J. Trump and I approve this message. Joe Biden isn't. And then also, people are so stupid. They have a Joe Biden clip in that commercial that Joe Biden saying, yes, I agree. Yes, I agree. And that's all he says. Joe Biden could be saying, hey, somebody could have asked him, hey, do you agree that, people should wear shoes in public? You know what I mean? It could be anything, and they have him saying, yes, I agree, and they're playing it as if it's Joe saying he agrees to defunding the police. I've never heard Uncle Joe say that.
Because he's never said it. In fact, he said the opposite. Even Bernie Sanders said he's not pro defund the police.
It's preying on fear.
First of all, defund the police doesn't mean defund the police.
Right.
It means reduce their funding. It means take some of their funding and put it into different social programs. So if someone is homeless, we have a different group to send. If there is some sort of just call about someone who's probably not even breaking the law, we can just send like some sort of low-level security guard to check it out. Like,
it's a redeployment of some funds. It's like what companies do it all the time.
Right.
You apply funds somewhere else.
More police isn't the answer. And that is statistically shown. Just like making more drugs illegal is not the answer, you Reagan fucks. Like all you Reagan fanboys, like, no, that's not how this works. The more drugs you make illegal, the more drugs people are going to do.
Crack cocaine for everybody.
The crack epidemic got worse because of Reagan. Yeah, I don't know. I'm on a diatribe. I'm pissed off over here. I'm steaming.
Yes, you are.
I'm steaming because people just don't get it. But on top of that, both Biden and Bernie, who are like working hand in hand right now, honestly, he should just pick him out as his running mate at this point. they both said we don't agree with defund the police. Like, so Trump is just straight up lying and then complaining about fake news.
Yeah, he's placating on fear. What other fear would you have with a image of a mother and her young son hiding under a bed because there's an intruder and she gets a 911 voicemail? Hell, I've called 911 before and been put on hold. This was way before defunding the police came around.
He literally called Anthony Fauci an alarmist. Well, him himself is an alarmist towards the radicalized left.
The radicalized left.
The radicalized left. They're evil. It's like, no, dude. The left doesn't even say the radicalized right. We just are like, there's Republicans and then there's fucking fascist racists like you, Trump.
Ooh.
Anyway. Well, this has been a good show, huh?
Yeah.
I'm gonna edit the fuck out of this.
Yes, you will. Basketball's back.
Yeah, you watching basketball?
I am, and someone may or may not, allegedly. No, I'm not going to say that on a public recording. Yes, basketball's back.
Yeah, basketball is boring. Almost as boring as soccer.
And video games. Don't taste good, does it?
I mean, I know you're wrong, so I don't care.
I know you're wrong with basketball being boring too.
Well, at least video games are art.
And basketball is a sport.
Basketball is barbaric. I'm obviously kidding.
At least you're. I know. That's why I'm like, you don't even give two shits about basketball. You just arguing for the.
I actually kind of enjoy watching basketball. I'm just kidding.
Just want to fight to fight. That's fine.
I watch football, dude. Like I have no right to say anything's barbaric. Like,
come over. Come. Drive to my house. Cough in my face. Cough in my mouth.
I'd love to. Well, this has been the Jake and Cory podcast. I'd say this has been the capital Jake and lowercase Cory podcast today.
And capital as in a sense of the Hunger Games. I will be your Evie. I'm fine with that. I will be your Evie.
I don't know what that means.
You don't know? You don't watch the Hunger Games? Oh,
I mean, like when I was a child.
You're still a child.
I'm almost 30, dude. Anyway, this has been the Jake and Cory show. Thanks for tuning in. Next week we'll probably talk about balls or something.
Porn.
We'll lighten it up.
We won't talk about balls because Jake gets uncomfortable.
Well, if they're hairy, I'm a little more comfortable with it.
That's disgusting.
Check out the Loner Gamecast every Tuesday. This week we're going to be talking about the Xbox event. It's a good old time.
And do not watch the Loner Gamecast because Nick Sapon looks cute. I'm off that bandwagon. Do not watch it because Nick Sapon is cute.
Yeah, he's really cute.
Don't watch it for that.
Also, check out Cory's YouTube channel, Fat Guy Radio Show. He's also on Stitcher and Spotify and iHeartRadio and all that social media garbage. Yeah, it's been a good time. I love you, Cory. You hate my outros. I don't care. I'm going to keep doing them.
You keep doing them. Because you know why? Because eventually you'll get one right.
I doubt it.
Practice makes perfect.